politics obviously matter, but in terms of these trade issues between U.S. and Korea, I think what matters more could be the U.S. stance on critical imports and also their stance on reciprocal tariffs, and also whether they will go ahead with something called the universal tariff, which is not our baseline, but nonetheless, that matters more than what's going on in domestic politics in Korea, given the overwhelming importance of trade policy from the point of view of the of Trump administration.
And looking at the three-way meeting of the top diplomats of the U.S., South Korea, and Japan over the weekend, looking at some of the sectors like energy security, small modular reactor, and other nuclear reactor technology. And, South Korea has other areas of economic cooperation to offer to the Trump administration. Do you think that somehow that auto tariffs could come down a little bit in terms of the severity of it, if any? Do you think there is some room for negotiation down the road?
Yeah, it's a good point. I just said there are a couple of areas where Korea and the U.S. can cooperate, including shipbuilding and the chips and the nuclear, the modular, the small reactors. We have been obviously cautious about Asia's trade outlook, including Korea and Taiwan, given the headwind coming from the U.S. on tariffs. But we nonetheless also highlighted the potential upside risk, although we did not reflect them in our forecast, given uncertainties in the timing and how things will evolve. But what we are saying is that, well, critical imports, they have not exactly defined it yet, but if it means something more similar to what we call it, advanced technology product, the way U.S. define, U.S. is importing about $100 billion worth of advanced technology product from China, and then if they want to diversify or reduce their reliance on China on these critical goods or strategic important goods, there are not many countries which can produce in scale and efficiency and the incorporation in the U.S. So obviously Taiwan would be also beneficiary, but also Korea can also help in terms of machineries and shipbuildings and some of the defense related the product. So that's upside. Obviously downside everybody know, and what is the rate price thing in our view. Yeah.
Right. There is this clear pattern of the U.S. administration, who, regardless who the president is, of really wanting to bring all these advanced technology and manufacturing capacity to the U.S. soil. And South Korea has been really active around that, of course, thanks to the CHIPS Act and Inflation Reduction Act. We're talking about EVs, batteries, and chips. And now there is the chatter around bringing shipbuilding capacity to the United States as well. But I wonder, what does that mean for South Korea's supply chain diversification agenda? Does it put it at risk at some point?
Well, the supply chain diversification has been going on even before the start of Trump administration. And, when you look at the FDI from, most of the countries in Asia, in China versus other countries, has been diversifying, not just because of political reasons, but also, the labor cost, and also, obviously the pandemic also created a, strong necessity for supply chain resilience, not just efficiency. So that has been ongoing, and we expect them to continue. And then I think for some of the options for some of the Asian manufacturers to diversify their manufacturing base to the U.S., given that the U.S. market is still the biggest and also very efficient. So also that makes sense in terms of diversification. So I think that is one of the venues they try to explore to the extent that it's feasible. And there are also other ways to, I think, reduce the trade issues with the U.S., for example, diversifying source of energy import. I think Japan said that, also Korea is thinking about doing, the diversifying energy the supplies away from traditional Middle East suppliers to U.S., to the extent that U.S. is also trying to expanded their energy industry. So I think there are a lot of things are moving. And again, as I said, market kind of pricing or the worst case scenario and downside risk. But to the extent there is also upside to some of the Asian manufacturers, I think that's very important to watch going forward.